Welcome to today's episode of Miss Nee podcast. I am obviously not Anne or Miss Nee, as you guys know her. I am Denise, and we co-host another channel called Spice and Ice, and I am guest hosting for her for a few episodes of this podcast. And today, I have with me a very driven and very young, to me, guest called Thomas. Thomas, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me on this podcast. Really excited to share. So my name is Thomas. Hi, everyone. So professionally, I'm a wealth advisor helping people to strategize in terms of investment and insurance. And at the side, I also run a coaching and training business focusing on high performance strategies. So yes, in terms of entrepreneurship, I have been on this journey for 8 years. Still a lot to learn, and yeah, really excited for what is to come.
Okay, you want to share with the audience and the listeners and our listeners how old you are?
Yeah, so I'm 30. Not saying very young already.
It's very young. Look, because I'm 38 this year, so to me it's young. 8 years less. So 30 years old, 8 years. It means you've been on this journey since you were 22.
But we look the same age, so it's okay.
Okay, Thomas is in effect a salesperson. I've come to that conclusion. So anyway, I wanted to. Okay, so this is something I've been curious about. You started your entrepreneurial journey when you were 22 years old. That's really young for most people. So I wanted to check in with you, like, what made you decide to start this at 22 years old? Like, what did you just graduate at that point in time?
So in fact, I started when I am in university itself. And this is something that I will encourage any aspiring entrepreneurs or whoever to, start exploring even before you graduate, because that is when you can afford to make mistakes. That is when your financial obligations is not as high. And that's when you can also learn the fastest also. So whether it's in terms of starting a business, taking up internship, trying out different part-time jobs, start during the study times, because that is when it's, in my opinion, the best time to start. So that was when I started. And as to why I started this journey, right? Even before I enter university, I knew that I wanted to run businesses. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. The question is what business to run. So I actually dabbled into a few different businesses, digital marketing, public speaking, etc. But what I realized eventually fits me the best, eventually aligns with my business direction, is wealth advisory itself. And a bit deeper about why, it's because for me, I have a mindset that when I want to start business, right, firstly, it must not have too much financial risk. For example, if we start a F&B chain, the cash outlay, the resource outlay is quite high right from the get-go, which is fine if you are confident with your business strategy and trajectory. But for me, I wanted it to be as minimal as possible. And wealth advisory is one of the business that allow this direction.
Okay, something that you just said actually struck me. You said you were already very clear when you were in uni that you wanted to run your own businesses. I'm curious about, basically today I'm curious about Thomas as a person, right? How did you come to be so clear that you wanted to run businesses at such a, it's actually quite a young age, right? Because at the age most of us is just, even then, trying to find what you want to do in life and whatever, right? So how did you come to be so clear that you wanted to run businesses?
So there are a few reasons why. So first off, right, even from a young age, I have been exposed to entrepreneurial programs and television shows already, things such as...
How come?
Thanks. I just feel very excited whenever I watch all these shows, how they pitch their ideas, how they use their creativity to create products that are not out there. So these are things that I already enjoy since young. And another reason is I realize I'm someone who needs flexibility. Flexibility not just in terms of time flexibility, but flexibility in terms of how I do things. Which is why, right, since young, right, I run a lot of leadership roles. I pick up a lot of programs, right, where I can be at the forefront deciding how things should be done. right? For example, back in university, I was running what we call JCRC, which is like a council like that, where we come up with different programs for the hostel. And the reason why I want to be in that position, right, is so that I can get to create different programs, right, which will be of value add to the residents. So all of these are the signs, right, that really shows that I'm someone who have that entrepreneurial spirit in me. And I was right, lah. Eventually, when I stepped into the entrepreneurial world, right, it is something that I feel excited about every single day, even until today, after 8 years. So when something can, you know, be of interest to you for so long, right, I think that's a right direction for you.
That's true. I think if let's say you're doing what you are meant to do in this lifetime in a like a bigger picture, university kind of way, it kind of energizes you as you go through your day. So you don't really see it as like work. Yeah,
yes,
so it's
that's right.
okay.
It's like part of your life already.
Oh, it's part of Thomas's life. Goodness me. Okay. Because I'm somebody that is that use cause the reason why that particular segment caught my attention was because I'm somebody that that wasn't me. I've always admired people who knew from very young what they wanted to do, and I felt that because of that, you guys can start a little bit earlier. So it's a plus point in that sense. So you have a little bit more experience, and you say you have a lot less financial obligations, a lot less responsibilities when you're younger. So even if you fail, it's just yourself. Just eat bread. It's okay, right? Or
Help me to slim down also. Help me to slim down also. Good problem.
No need, I teach you. You do contouring here. Put some shadow. Your face all together. Yeah, that's what makeup does. Wonders, okay? Wonders, okay? Okay, then something else that I also I'm curious about is today I will be curious about a lot of things because it's after all about Thomas, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about, let's say, okay, so today for the listeners and the audience out there, before our actual recording, we had a little bit of a chat and I was asking Thomas what time he got up today. He said 7:30. My eyebrows almost flew on my face, okay, in shock and a surprise because I'm a night owl. What gets you excited to get up every morning? So early, I would say it's quite early for most people. I mean, minus those 5 a.m. club one now, okay?
Right. So for me, right, I always feel that aside from time management, what is always very important is energy management. Because if you think about it, your best work, right, it has always been done when your energy is the highest. So it is very crucial for us to know when our energy peaks are. Personally, for me, it's early in the morning. I think for Denise, it's late at night. For some people, it's the afternoon. So you want to arrange your schedule, right, such that during your energy peaks, right, you are able to do tasks that require the most mental energy. Like for me, it comes in the form of like business strategizing, you know, coming out with content for my clients, etc. So that's like one thing. Correct. That's one thing why I feel motivated to wake up in the morning also. Another thing is because of what I am doing. Why am I feeling excited every single day, right? Is because I truly love what I do. You know, it's aligned with my purpose. It's aligned with my passion. It gives me pretty good returns as well. And this is a formula that I give people just to share a little bit more. If you want to have a career that you can be in for a really, really long time, and you feel amazed and you feel fulfilled by it, you must meet these 3 P's, which is purpose, passion, and pay. So pay is very straightforward, what you are being paid for in terms of providing your service itself, right? And in terms of passion, it is something that you enjoy doing. For me, right, I enjoy creative work. And that's why entrepreneurship is so suited for me, right? Because I am constantly creating new campaigns, creating new marketing angles, creating new concepts and strategies for my clients itself. And finally, purpose. What gives you life meaning? And for me, it's impacting lives. It's giving value. It is to help my clients to transform itself. So the business that I run, right, allow me to achieve these 3 P's. And it is very, very important that we cannot miss any of these 3 P's. Let me give you an example. You know, my purpose of impacting life. If I am a fitness instructor, right, I can also impact lives. But why am I not a fitness instructor? I think Denise is trying to hold her laughter. But the reason is because it is not something that I'm passionate about. Fitness is not something that I'm passionate about. So I will not do well in that field.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Correct. So when you're running a business or when you're finding a job, right, it is necessary for you to either find these 3 Ps or to create these 3 Ps from what you are already doing.
Okay, so passion, purpose, and pay. The 3 Ps. The 3 Ps from Thomas, okay? Okay, now we talk a little bit about people. Okay, do you want to share with the audience of the listeners who are some of the people in your life? Maybe name the top 3 that has been the most influential or the most inspiring, whether in terms of your personal development or in terms of your career.
So aside from family members, right, 3 of the people, or I would rather say groups of people who has been most influential for me. First is definitely my business mentor. She's the one who teach me the way of running a wealth advisory business. She's the one who guided me along. She's the one who's there always giving me the support. And she's the one who also introduced the idea of accounted flexibility. As entrepreneurs, it is very flexible. We have time flexibility, we have operation flexibility whatsoever, but we need to be accounted for it, because flexibility without being accounted for can easily go haywire.
So I get what you mean.
Correct.
It's like, never mind, I do later. It's okay, later I do.
Yeah, never mind, I wake up 2 p.m. in the day to start my work.
yeah. Then you get 2 p.m. results, lor.
Exactly, correct. So one of it is my business mentor. Another is, personally for me, I've been doing volunteering work for quite a while already. And in fact, whenever I do volunteering work, I interact with the beneficiaries and they have been inspiring for me. Why is it so? Because whenever I do all this volunteering work, right, I'm reminded to stay grounded. These beneficiaries, more often than not, right, they are in a difficult place, much more difficult than us. And yet, they can find happiness so easily. It can be as simple as, playing a game with them and they are so happy about it. Or, giving them some food, they are so happy about it. And it constantly reminds me, right, until today, right, that we must feel really thankful for what we have. Because in the pursuit for more, right, many people forget to be thankful for what they already have. As a result, they feel dissatisfied, they feel insufficient, and they feel very negative, which is a very huge downside lah. So the second group of people are these beneficiaries who constantly reminded me to be thankful and grateful for what I have. And for the final group, right, as interesting as this may sound, but to be very open with all of you, they are the naysayers, the haters, the doubters. Because I always believe that in terms of motivation, we have the pleasure part and we have the pain part. And pain is actually a huge motivator. And when I assess my growth over the years, right, it was pain that helps me to develop significantly, right? So all these haters, doubters, they usually inflict some form of pain. But it is whether we succumb to this pain in terms of complaining, gossiping, arguing, or we use this pain as motivation to go further, to climb higher, and to run faster. So they has also been inspiring for me in the sense that they motivate me to do even better. So yeah, these are the 3 groups of people who have been inspirational for me.
3 groups, okay. It's interesting because when you talk about the haters and the naysayers, right, it's like stress, if used well, it can be a very good stimulant for growth. So people nowadays are like, I don't want to be stressed, But in life, sadly, you cannot just do things, even if when you're doing things that you like, there's always stress involved.
Yeah.
Right? So just learning how to harness all these things in life and using it as stimulants for growth, I assume that's what you do. Is there a particular somebody that really pushes you forward? Your business mentor, is it?
My business mentor. So my business mentor, she has been with me since day one lah. And we have been through ups and downs, we have been through challenges, but what has been consistent is her constantly lending a helping hand. Like sometimes I have questions 1 a.m. in the morning and she will still reply my text, which is amazing.
Does she not sleep?
Well, You just have that foresight that Thomas is going to text me today.
Not she like that. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I think today 1 a.m. is when he's going to text me.
That's right. Because I mean, as much as I would love to sleep earlier, sometimes clients, because of their hectic work schedule,
it's true.
Be up later.
And I think sometimes in your work, right, your clients usually will contact you outside of work hours, outside of usual office hours, we would say. So I guess that works for you, that flexibility. My biggest question for you is, how do you keep yourself to the schedule? Do you not find it difficult? And when you find it difficult, how do you still keep to it?
Great question. So I'm a huge believer of environment, because our thoughts, our actions, they are influenced by our environment. So what I would assess, right, is what are things that are holding me back in my environment, and what are things that propel me forward in my environment. So to give you a very example, last time I loved to play mobile games, right, computer games, mobile games, and I realized that those are what makes me very unproductive. Those are very time wasting. So I removed them entirely. So you cannot find any mobile games, any games on my laptop or my phone itself. So that's one thing. The second thing, what are things that can help me to boost my productivity in my environment itself? I realize having a dream board, right, near me, right, it's always a huge motivator, because it reminds me what I am working for, what I am working towards to. So all of these things, right, it makes me productive, it makes me energetic to keep going forward, and I will not have the problem of not finishing what I started out to do. Because at the end of the day, right, I believe we cannot force things. We cannot keep pushing ourselves to do it. It must be part of our identity, right? So just as James Clear has mentioned before, James Clear, who is a coach in terms of habits itself, the highest level of habit creation is a change in identity, right? The focus should not be just on running how many marathons. The focus should be becoming a runner. So putting
I run because I'm a runner.
Correct, that's right. So changing of identity. So the environment helps us to change our identity, and eventually work done will be seamless.
So basically, you change your environment to kind of like help yourself to get that identity that you want to achieve, right? But of course, this doesn't. Okay, so for our dear listeners and audience out there, this doesn't happen overnight. But it's always good to start somewhere. And what do you do when there are times you fall off the wagon, or you just didn't set out what you wanted to accomplish for that day, or whatever? I'm sure there are some days when you just feel a bit like, we all have those days, okay?
Correct. So what I would encourage people to do, right, instead of in such situation, feel bad about it, feel negative about it, give yourself a break, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we are all humans. We need to rest. Some days we are not on form. Some days we just need to chill a bit. But here's the interesting thing that I realized. If we constantly increase our threshold, increase the amount of productivity and the work we have done, right, in a manner that starts to become natural, right, eventually when we look back, right, even our worst days will be better than the best days in the past. This is something that
I get what you mean.
Correct. So yeah, challenge yourself to be constantly better, but do give yourself space in order to take breaks at times as well. And yeah, sometimes we just need to chill, but always have that growth mindset.
I think this is something that that is quite constant across the people that I've spoken to who are consistent in their growth. How should I put it? Everybody has good days and not so good days. What they do is, on good days, they are extremely productive. So that on not so good days, they're like, it's okay, because I have been extra productive. So I can take like a 10% break, and then I will still be more productive, like you said, than let's say a year ago. So I think it's important to kind of focus on what you were like a year ago, and just because I think a lot of people in that pursuit of moreness, right, kind of forget how far we have all come actually. Then when you look at it, actually I've grown quite a bit, and then it helps to keep people motivated. Right.
That's right.
Versus just like, sian, today I didn't do anything again, etc. Okay. Because the longer you get stuck in that emotion, I think the more time you're wasting.
In fact, just to give an analogy, for example, like in terms of a battery, right, we don't want to use it until it becomes 0%. right? We want to use it such that it still have like 10-15%, and after that you recharge it. So this is what I also encourage people to do, is because sometimes with the hustle mentality, right, they just want to put everything out there, right, such that their battery is drained totally, right, and then the next day they totally need to restart again. So every day give yourself some, you know, fuel left so that you can recharge, and then the next day, right, you can be back to what you need to do. This is what I realized as well.
Yeah, it's true. But okay, so it starts with self-awareness, right? Like you must own self be aware of like, oh, okay, now my battery is like 50. Because some people, they understand that, but at the same time they are not very aware. So how do you yourself become aware of like when your battery is like 15, when it's like 50, when you're like done?
Yeah, so that is where we really need to constantly evaluate ourselves in terms of our thoughts, in terms of our actions. And it will be even better if you have an accountability buddy, because sometimes we will not be aware of ourselves. You know, having an accountability buddy, he or she can be, you know, assessing where you are lacking or where you can be improving. Or right now, maybe you don't act so normally, you seems to be very lethargic. Your body can tell you about it, and that's very, very important. So for example, one area in my business is cold calling itself, and I can tell you cold calling is not the most fun thing to do. So sometimes
I used to be in sales, so I understand.
Yeah, right. I mean, like a few calls, okay, but when it comes to hours and hours of call, no.
Like 100 calls a day, I tell you. Okay,
Yeah,
people, if you
wow.
want to train your resilience and you want to train your skin very thick, right? You just do cold calling.
Yes,
Your skin will be
exactly.
trained in like 1 week, so thick.
Yeah, I know, right? So what I assess is that if I start to, you know, have that temptation of just ending the call quickly, just, you know,
Just get it
regurgitating,
over with.
yeah, just getting over with, then I know something is wrong and I need to take a break.
I see. So what do you do to kind of like take a break in the middle of the day? Like say like a mini break. Do you go out for a coffee, go out for a walk?
Yeah, so this is where self-awareness is also very important. You need to know what is most effective for you. And for me, it's taking a power nap. Yeah. Not drinking bubble tea, not going to play games, not going out. All those drain even more energy for me. But some people,
For you,
some people, they feel their energy being boosted when they do those activities. Then go ahead, right? So this is where you
yeah,
need
yeah.
self-awareness. For me, it's taking a power nap. After a power nap, I'm ready to
Good to
restart.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I'm one of those that need people to energize myself. So I feel very lethargic is usually because I have been at home for too long. Like just go to some shopping center, suck the people energy from there.
I guess you are an introvert, extrovert, lah,
Yeah,
right?
I'm extrovert. Yes, yes. And it took me very, very long to actually really be aware of it. Like you say, it's my identity lah. But then sometimes if it's too much, right, I need to stay home and recharge also. So it's like you say, it's self-awareness lah. Okay, we have talked about, okay, as our listeners and audience can tell, right, Thomas is a very high energy individual. So which is great. Now we're going to talk a little bit about failures and struggles, because I think in your journey as an entrepreneur, you would have come across many failures, and these failures at the end of the day actually help us to grow. Do you want to talk a little bit, maybe tell the audience and the listeners one of your biggest failure today and what did you learn from that?
Very great question. So, right, the surprising thing is that the biggest failure in my life did not happen in business itself. And I will share with you why earlier. So, the biggest failure in my life was when I was volunteering for an organization. You know, like what I mentioned earlier, I have done a lot of voluntary work itself. And it was during my university days. That was when it was the first time I come across politics at a scale that is very, very, very harmful. And at that point in time, to cut the long story short, essentially, you know, some of us, we have been contributing a lot, but we did not get the appreciation that we feel that we deserve. And, you know, a lot of people left, and a lot of people, you know, because we were so committed to it, we were so deep diving into this organization, right, that we felt very, very horrible upon what happened to us. You know, some people even left, some people, they felt depressed, some people, they are just totally lost itself. And I was one of them. And that was when I have a lot of emotional struggles, etc. But fortunately, along the way, I somehow come across the solution, which is simply to walk away. There are many ways that we can solve problems. One is, dive into the root cause whatsoever, but some problems cannot be solved. We just have to walk away. And that incident itself actually made me grow a lot, made me mature a lot. And it even helps me in my business in terms of people management, in terms of managing the challenges that I've come across, in terms of emotional management itself. And that's why what I always recommend people is that the more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in battle. So those volunteering work, in a way, they are practice to me. They are not exactly so deep into my life that it will affect me a lot. But my business is. But thanks to all this practice that I've done by volunteering in this different organization, by trying out different new things and using the learning lessons from there, right, to apply it to my business, right. For my business, right, I'm really thankful that so far it has been a smooth journey. Sorry, Denise, I think you are muted.
Yeah, I realized that because I was like, a mic's muted. Because my throat isn't very good, so I keep clearing it. Okay, so basically your biggest failure, or rather your biggest struggle to date, was that huge emotional upset that you face, right? And then I think because maybe there was you put in a lot of effort, a lot of sweat and tears, etc. So that's where the upset comes from, usually. When you put in a lot, then it doesn't come back. So that's what you have learned. Thank you for sharing that with us. Walking away is, I would say, for some people it's actually quite easy, right? But if let's say you have really put in your heart and soul into something, it's sometimes a little bit harder to walk away. How would you rate a situation where it's something you are going to solve, or it's something you walk away from?
Right, very, very good question. So I have actually discussed this with some coaches and psychologists itself. What is the solution for such situation? Because the truth is, not all situations we can walk away. Not all toxic situations we can walk away. To give an example, right? Let's say a toxic relationship. Of course, the person can just get a divorce whatsoever. But what if there's a young child? What if there's no financial support, all this, and the person just have to stay in that relationship for that few years, right? What should that person do? So in such situation, let's say the problem cannot be solved, cannot be discussed, and also cannot walk away, focus on what is left that is still positive about it. For example, for the example that I gave, it can be the child, the child giving the joy, or it can be simply, although the home is not very healthy, it's still having a shelter, still having food, still having money itself. So focus on what is left that is still positive. It will make your life so much better, rather than just
kind of what gets you through lah.
Correct.
Until you get to a point where you are actually able to leave.
Yes,
and
that's
then,
right.
Okay, I get what you mean. Okay, that was a very, very good, actually, insightful. I really enjoyed that. So, because there are a lot of times when, people are like, yeah, never mind lah, you just leave. But sometimes there are really circumstances that makes it really very, very difficult to do so. And it's, like what Thomas said, sometimes it's not just about ourselves. There are other considerations that we have to consider. Okay, let us now jump into, just now we talk about failures, right? Now let's talk a little bit about resources. Along the way, besides the mentors that you've spoken about and the groups of people who are giving you inspiration, what are some of the other things that you would classify as resources in your journey?
So, right, we live in this digital age, right? To be very, very honest, we are really, really lucky, because the best resource is the internet itself. I learned a lot of strategies, got a lot of knowledge, got a lot of experience through the internet. With a click of a button, you can access to so much information. In fact, right now, when I want to buy books from Kindle, I just need to click once. I don't even need to put in my credit card number whatsoever, because I did put in once. I just click,
it's so convenient.
So that is so amazing. I mean, the internet itself is about how you leverage it. Is it something that is holding you down, or is it something that helps you to propel forward, right? Like social media itself. Some people, they use social media to read the gossipy news, But social media can be used to network, can be used to connect, can be used to learn from others, etc. So I think internet is really the best resource out there. We can just access to almost anything with internet itself. Yeah.
It's true. That one I totally agree. And we are so right now with the current situation, right? It's not about last time it was about the lack of information. Now it's about filtering the information. Thomas talks about social media. I think a lot of us is just scrolling through it mindlessly. But if you actually curate your social media feed, it can be a very good source of inspiration and strength. So you follow the people who are in a similar growth path as you, in a similar career, like people you look up to lah. And then, they will share things. You're like, oh, that's interesting. And then you learn from them, right? Have you tried the latest AI, the ChatGPT?
ChatGPT. Yeah, I tried it before. I think
It's fun, right?
It's a game changer. Scary. It's scarily good.
It's scary because I know of somebody, he's an engineer by nature. So he asks very specific questions. And because of that, the quality of answers you get depends on the quality of questions you ask, right? So he asked very specific questions such as like, what is the best way to legally make, I don't know, $10,000 a month in Singapore using how many hours of work a week? And then ChatGPT actually gives that person answers like, oh, you can do this industry, this. It's all legal, you see. So he was like, oh, this is a great idea. So I'm like, what?
Yeah. Apparently it passed law school also. Yeah, apparently it passed law school. They were testing it out.
Oh my God, really? That's it lah. It's the beginning lah. You know those movies, right, where the AI control all the robots and all that. Then can you imagine the next time they will like harness us for stuff? Ooh. Okay, probably not lah. But anyway, it's a really useful tool and it's so fun to play with though. And like I said, you can ask it gossipy questions like who has the biggest bum in the century, and then they will give you the answer. Or you can ask them good questions, like how to make $10,000 legally a month in Singapore. Okay, so it depends on the quality of questions that you ask also. And we talk about resources already. We talk about inspiration. And then I'm also curious about if, let's say, okay, think about it this way. You started your journey when you were still in uni, right? If, let's say, for other people who wants to be on the same career path as you, you're in the wealth advisory and life coaching. Yeah, correct?
Correct.
Yes, correct. So if let's say somebody else wants to be on the same career as you or similar, is there anything that you would tell them?
So what I would share is to dream bigger. I think a lot of us, we know things like nothing is impossible, we have to dream big whatsoever, but do we really do so? Because what I see is many people, they have a limiting beliefs. They believe that they are not able to do it. Maybe they are too young, maybe they are too inexperienced, maybe they do not have enough resources. So what I would encourage people to do, right, to inspire you to dream bigger, right, is to look up on examples that have been there, that have done that. For example, for me, when I was starting out, I thought that I was too young to succeed in the wealth advisory business. But there are people who are younger than me who have done so, right? I also have limiting beliefs that as a student, I may not be as professional compared to full-timers, but there are students who have done amazingly too, right? So it is really about whether is it true or is it our limiting beliefs that hold us back from dreaming bigger. So regardless of what business you are doing, or even if you are in the job itself, right, always dream bigger.
As big as possible. But then again, how big is your big, right?
Yeah, correct. So, of course, we also need to be realistic, but we also don't want to be held back by limiting beliefs such as like age, such as resources, such as time, whatsoever, which clearly, more often than not, right, it's a limiting belief.
It is. And then, but sometimes, like you say, we talked about identity a little bit earlier. Sometimes that limiting beliefs come from that person's identity. Do you have any, I'm sure you also came across your own limiting beliefs, right? When you started this, I mean, you have come a long way, but at the beginning, I'm sure there were a lot of like inner voices and things inside your head telling you that's not going to work, etc., etc. When you met that, how did you overcome it? How did you change those limiting beliefs? Because some of those limiting beliefs can be very, very deep rooted. So I'm just curious, like how did you swap that around?
All right, so the most straightforward way, right, I would say is once again change your environment. And when we talk about environment, right, it's not just physical environment, but it's also like social environment, who we hang out with, right? It's also digital environment, who are we following? So for example, for my social media itself, right, I'm following entrepreneurs, I'm following people who have been there, done that, business owners, etc. So when I'm constantly exposed to these, right, it helps me to alter my limiting beliefs, because if they can do it, right, why not me, right? I'll keep asking myself that question, why not me? And sooner or later, right, you will become the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And that itself, right, it helps me to overcome limiting beliefs that I have and work towards what I want to. Of course, there are other things like coaching, etc. But the most immediate one, right, or rather the most straightforward one, right, is changing your environment.
The one, so it's kind of like brainwashing yourself, but in a way that you choose to.
Correct.
I think that works. I really, because I usually, if let's say after being on a self-development journey, right, there are some friends that I have dropped, not because they're not good people. They are. It's just that we were on different paths, and like you say,
Yes.
you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and if you are spending most of the time with people who gossip about others, who are gamblers, who are drinkers, etc., then you will become like that, right? Because the environment and the conversations that we have will be all about those topics.
Exactly.
So yeah, so you get to choose, and also the social media, I think, is a huge thing now. Like how many hours do you actually limit yourself to how many hours you spend on social media? Is there
Yeah,
like a
so
schedule that you keep to?
great question. So I use so much social media, right, that I didn't even keep track. And I can say it's at least more than 5 to 6 hours. But the reason being is because it is part of my business itself. It is part of work itself. So I'm okay with, letting myself run wild with social media as long as it is done for the right purpose. So for me, I don't use social media, to check out the latest gossip or the news that does not really affect what I'm doing. But really, it's all about learning. It's all about networking. It's about marketing and promoting through my social media itself. Yeah, so literally, aside from meeting my clients, right, almost the whole day I will be using social media.
No, but it's different because you are using it as a self branding, as a marketing tool, right? And that also explains the reason why how I contacted Thomas for this was via social media on Instagram, and his reply was almost instant, by the way. For the older people,
Always
it's
there
almost like
camping.
WhatsApp.
Yeah, always there camping.
No lah, it's not camping. It's not, you're doing something productive. So at the end of the day, it's never about like the labels or the activities that you do, but rather whether it actually adds value onto your life goal or what you want to achieve at the end of the day. Like if you're using it for marketing, you're using it for connecting to other individuals with the same mindset or reaching out to your clients, I think that is a great way of using social media, because now I think like emails, even WhatsApp, all that's a little bit passe already. So the younger generation don't really use that anymore. They're all like DMing each other's
Yep.
Instagram, TikToks now, not even Instagram. I haven't succumbed to TikTok yet. Goodness me. Okay, so anyway,
I think you will find it quite fun. Yeah, it feels suitable for you.
it is fun, but it's okay. So the issue with me, I know today's episode is not about me, but the issue with me is that I can fall into a rabbit hole very easily. I'm somebody that's very easily distracted, especially by
Yeah.
new shiny things.
Understand. Well, I mean, you can look at it as an opportunity, because I know a lot of people, they are building business using TikTok itself. And its
They are.
outreach, from what I know, is insane.
It's crazy, and okay, this is what I heard from somebody who does social media marketing. This is a little bit of a tip for everybody, also who is on social media building their businesses. This is somebody who does social media marketing for their business. So he wants a firm that actually works with influencers, etc., to help their clients have a bigger marketing outreach. So he studies the algorithms and all that, and he's saying that actually the algorithm for TikTok is a lot better than Instagram. It's a lot less biased than Instagram's. So Yes, I guess. But no dancing videos, please.
Yeah, not necessary at all.
Yeah, I get what you
And a lot of people who just make educational videos using TikTok itself.
They are. But the issue now with your, I don't know, your target audience, their age range lah. What is your target audience's age range actually?
In terms of social media working professionals lah, yeah. So it's quite a huge age range lah.
Yeah, because I think now our attention span is very, very short. Anything that is longer than like 30 seconds or a minute, it's the next thing already. This actually I really know. Okay, so yes, use it wisely. I'm in the midst of curating my Instagram feed also, so that is great. This is something that we all should do lah. Actually, just unfollow people that is not adding. Not that they're bad people, but just that they're not adding value in the direction that you want. And just curate our feeds, because now social media is it's a thing that is almost part of our lives already. It is part of our lives, right? So yeah, curate that. Last time we used to say curate the books you read, right? Now I say curate your social media feed.
Yeah, both.
Oh yeah, both. But books are a lot more intentional, I think. Okay, do you want to share, since we're on the topic of books, do you want to share a little bit about maybe your latest favorite book?
My latest favorite book, because I've been reading quite a couple. Let me think about it. My latest favorite book is by Eric Fong. He wrote a book on the future of selling manifesto, right? So it's for salespeople. So essentially what he taught us is about how we can give more value to more people using social media so that we can promote our services in a manner that's less salesy, in a manner that attracts quality clients to you, in a manner that helps you to build your referral. So this is something that I would encourage. The book is designed more for financial advisors, but I feel that as long as you are doing a business, right, especially when it comes to client acquisition through social media, right, that's something that you can look into. Yeah, The Future of Selling Manifesto by Eric Feng.
The Future of Selling Manifesto. Okay, go and look that up. You may like it or not, it doesn't really matter. But I think for people who are very against sales, right, whether you like it or not, we are selling something.
Yep, every single time.
Right. Yeah, so you're selling yourself, you're selling your services, you're selling your product, whatever it is. But now it's never about pushing sales, right? It's always about attracting, like you say, attracting quality clients.
Attraction game, yeah. I mean, especially nowadays, information rich. Anyone can find the information they need, right, with the internet itself. So why do they need your service still? And that's the question that you answer when you provide your service, right?
Yes. Okay. Thanks very much for your sharing today, Thomas. Usually we will end off our podcast with, this is a question that I really like. If you could go back 5 years ago or when you just started this journey, what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Right. So if I could go restart my journey 5 years ago, I would say that it is to make more mistakes. I realized that sometimes because I hesitate to make mistakes, I did not try new things. I did not step out of my comfort zone. I did not take enough calculated risks to go to the next level itself. So that's why I would encourage people to do that, is to just go try. If you feel that something will work, even if it's an instinct, just try it out, right? There's nothing much to lose. Of course, you want to do it in a manner that's calculated. You don't want to put all your money into something that have no proven track record of success. But if once in a while you don't take risks, right, you are not able to go to the next level. Think about it. Why are we at the current level that we are at? Because we are not doing something that the next level is doing. And for you to identify what's the next something, right, sometimes you have to make mistakes just to identify what it is. Yeah, so that's what I would encourage myself to do, Go out there, make more mistakes, but most importantly, learn from them.
Yeah, make more mistakes, learn from them, and correct faster. The faster you correct, the faster you get to where you want to go. Okay, so that was a very illuminating chat. I hope that the listeners in the audience like it. Once again, I am the guest host, Denise, for Miss Nee Podcast. Thanks so much to Miss Nee, who's Anne, who's my co-host, for trusting me with her channel and letting me talk nonsense on it. Because because her style is very different from mine. She's a lot more serious. And thanks, of course, to Thomas for coming on to the show today and taking time out. We will chat to you guys again during the next episode of Ms. Lee Podcast. We will see you guys. Bye. Bye. You must say bye lah because it's podcast, ma.
Bye.
Thank you for continued support my Ms. Lee podcast, and don't forget to